Holy sh! Episode 9 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End was everything I was hoping it to be and so much more. My gosh, the incredible, not just animation, but just the creative direction they had for this episode was just phenomenal. Typically with these magic type battles and stuff, it's always like just a back and forth of like lasers and whatnot. But this one was like just so creative. Like just seeing Fern like walking forward and just kind of just so, I would say it's very elegantly, beautifully, but casually just kind of knocking away all the shots coming at her was absolutely incredible. And then yes, there's so many other little shots, like the whole point in which Fern was checking out the blood on his collar and then it gets her pushed away. They've been doing a really great job of these. I would say they're called shifting point of view shots, where you have a character's like stationary, but then the view of itself is actually changing. I had the same feeling when they had the shot where Stark was on the dragon's face and it was shifting around. You could see the background sort of shifting. This is the same case where she's got this shot where she's checking his collar and then suddenly she's being pushed back by something and the point of view is being shifted back. It's just, it's just so incredible. And yeah, all the other shots, just like the fight with Linie was absolutely incredible. Just all the weight and whatnot to the strikes and everything like that. It's just, just so many, there's so many great shots in this entire episode. It was just absolutely fantastic. And then to put on top of that, as per usual, just having a lot of storytelling happening at the same time. So it's not just a bunch of fighting. There's story being told within the actual moments of it. And yeah, a lot of that storytelling happening is kind of, again, sort of piggybacking off the last episode, that idea of the new heroes, the passing of baton to the next generation and seeing how differently they fight. Technically having a lot of connection with characters like Linie to the past with characters like Ison and how that kind of differs with the combat now. It's so incredible. It's just an incredible fight. So fantastic. Let's start from the very beginning like usual. But yeah, opening up the episode with their conversation with Granat and pretty much, yeah, pointing out that Frieren wasn't at fault for the whole situation. Yeah, she was right. They were going to betray us. She's okay. No, we don't think that she killed the guard and all that kind of stuff. But then we get a brief shot, very brief encounter with Frieren and Aura. I thought this entire episode, well, I thought a portion of this episode at least was going to be Frieren versus Aura, but apparently that's going to be for the next episode. So super hyped for that. But yeah, just kind of seeing all the answers to the questions I had. I was really curious as to if the guards that were around Aura were going to be essentially combatants or puppets or just there as sort of a symbol against anybody that comes to her. But in actuality, no, that's actually her power. I was very shocked by that. I thought her whole thing was going to be that she likes to cut off heads. But it seems like her power, the thing that she essentially perfected was this scale of obedience. The scale that she's always carrying around, which I noticed that, which I guess I should have attributed to being her actual power. But yeah, apparently she puts the magic of those that she's an opponent to and her magic upon that scale, and whichever one wins, she gains full dominance over, which is something that only she can really pull off because she has a massive amount of mana, apparently. Which I guess is the reason why she's never able to beat Frieren, or at least she didn't last time, is because probably Frieren has a higher amount of mana than she does, so it's something that she can't do. Now, it does technically open the door to how Aura can defeat Frieren, and sort of a prediction that I have that the fight can kind of unfold by is the idea that Aura could essentially whittle down Frieren's mana by having her fight all of these soldiers that are her puppets until eventually Frieren doesn't have enough mana that then Aura can then dominate her. I'm curious if that's going to be the route they go, because what they sort of open the door to is that there is a way of overcoming this, although it's temporary. Granat explains that yes, there's a way to overcome it, and that's through sheer will. And they sort of attach that to Granat's son. Granat's son, apparently, when he was dominated by Aura, he was able to, pull his sword for a brief moment. So my prediction is there's a possibility that Frieren could have her mana dwindled down a little bit, just enough so that Aura can dominate her. And I think through sheer will and hatred for the demons, I guess, Frieren's probably going to overcome it. That's my prediction on how it could go. Now, it could be that Frieren just nukes her. That was my original assumption. Like, I told a lot of people that, you know what, this is kind of one of the stories where if Frieren came there and Aura was just going to go talk for a brief second, then the moment she opens her mouth, Frieren just blasts her, and that's the end of the fight, it would make sense, because that's Frieren. She doesn't want to talk. Most of these stories, they want them to sit there and talk for a long time. But no, in actuality, they didn't really do that, but they did something more interesting in the idea that Frieren, similar to other combatants that she's fought, she's trying to test them out in a way. She talks to Aura for just a brief moment, and Aura's like, why are you cleansing the guards? It takes a lot of mana, and that was the other reason why I think that eventually Fern's going to run out of mana, or lower her mana to the point where Aura can overtake her. Aura is pointing out that you're cleansing them rather than just destroying them. Last time you just blasted them. Why are you doing that? And Frieren said, well, Himmel yelled at me last time. Last time, Frieren just blasted all the guards, and then they took out Aura. But no, this time she's cleansing them. She doesn't want to damage them. And that's something that Himmel impressed upon her, that it's disrespectful to the dead by doing that. So she's not wanting to do that this time. And so she is using up her mana in order to do that. And then when Aura says, well, all the more reason to blast them because Himmel's dead. And then Frieren goes, oh, okay, thank you. You've reconfirmed the fact that you are a monster and that now I can kill you. Good, you're still a monster. Now I can destroy you. Again, I think here in previous episodes, she did that same thing where she kind of confirmed something and then said, okay, well, yeah, you're still a monster. I'll take you out. Okay, you've confirmed what I knew. Goodbye. It is kind of curious that she has that doubt and that she does need that confirmed. And it's not that she has to get that confirmed. It's just that it seems like it's what it's implying is that that's something that she's doing. But yeah, we cut back to Stark and Fern, and Stark's like, all right, I'm going to go. You get to the guardhouse, go tell them or whatever. I'm going to go this direction. And they have this little brief moment of, man, Stark is being brave. Man, this is going to, here goes Stark. He's like, yeah, I'll go handle them. Don't worry about it. I'm going to sacrifice myself or whatever. But no, he's like, no, I'm going to go find Fern. I need to go tell Frieren so she can come back and destroy them. We got the clearance that Frieren can come back to the town, so let's go get Frieren. The only reason that she's not here is because, the guards are going to go after her. But no, it just turns into, Fern once again being disappointed. It's funny because it is one of those moments where we could have got a Fern disappointed face or a disgusted face, but no, she understands Stark. She's like, yeah, that makes sense. That we could technically, yes, we can go get Frieren. But no. Just before they make it out, Fern discovers that, there's blood on them that's not Stark's, and immediately she throws, again, another great animation moment, Fern taking off her robe and chucking it, just so beautifully animated, my gosh. But no, then she knows that Stark has some, and that's when they get attacked. Let me say, Linie, I'm so sad that she's gone, because cute girl with a massive axe, I have a thing for that. I don't know, maybe it dates back as far as, I guess, Tales of Symphonia. I love the cute girl pigtails typically with the massive axe. And yeah, her coming in, doing Isen's move, which totally throws off Stark. Like, holy crap, that's my master's move. Why are you doing that? Which we find out later on is the fact that Linie's power is not just to see magic. Because it seems like, according to Lugner, this is a thing that mages can do. Mages can sense other mages unless they, go out of their way in order to cloak it. Lugner even admits himself that, yes, even as demons, we know how to do that. But he says it's not a mage's thing. There's a lot of emphasis on Lugner's pride in this episode, and that seems to be one of them. The idea of, that's kind of dumb. Us mages, that's not a mage battle. Sneaking up on the other person, that's not a mage battle. But Linie's power seems to be the idea that she not only just senses the magic within somebody, but she also mimics it. So she's able to see all these combatants she's seen in the past and be able to mimic them. And apparently one of those individuals, way when Linie was very young, she was hiding in the shadows watching Isen as he fought. So she mimics his moves. But yeah, on the fight with Linie and Stark, we have that moment where it seems like Stark is being pummeled down by his master. He's basically reliving his experiences fighting Isen. And that's really destroying him. He's not doing well. He's getting the crap beat out of him. At the same time, Linie can't leave him because apparently Lugner doesn't like whenever people intervene with his fight. So she's just kind of sitting there waiting for her master to finish so that she can go join him. But Stark doesn't give up. And eventually it hits into this memory that he had with Isen and this idea that he could never beat Isen. Isen was always beating him down. But even though Stark was like, I can never beat you. He's like, well, yeah, of course. I'm stronger than you. I'm going to be stronger than you. Which is cool because it does sort of parallel what Fern is going through right now. He can't beat his master. But eventually, it comes to this point where he realized, oh yeah, Isen told me that no matter what, whoever's standing in the end is the winner. That's how warriors work. Whoever is still standing in the end won the battle. So he keeps standing up. He keeps standing up. Until eventually, Linie goes in for that side swipe. And Stark, here's the significant thing about this, Stark uses something that Isen didn't use. There was one ability that Stark knew that Linie would not know. It kind of turns in that whole trope and the idea of, well, if you're copying me and everything I do, let me do something that you don't know. and that was that lightning strike coming straight down on her, wiping her out, which again, I'm super sad that she's dead because I was kind of hoping that she'd join the team just because she's a cute pigtail girl with a massive axe. I kind of didn't want her to disappear, but them's the breaks. Them's the breaks, unfortunately. She had to die, unfortunately. I don't know what they could have done to make her be able to join them, unless it just turns into her being impressed by Stark and wanting to learn more from Stark and hiding in the shadows. And this isn't that kind of show. This isn't the type of show where just because it's a cute girl, they'll figure out some dumb way to keep them following them throughout the entire journey. Because if she did do that, then eventually one day Fern would just turn and blast through the trees and Linie's dead because she detected her. But no, on the other side with Fern, now that was an interesting side as well, because was one case is a lot more, I would say, impressive animation. Whereas the fight with Stark and Linie, it's incredible because it's great motion, it's impact, it's velocity. The fight between the two of them showcased the animators and how well they can really put that emphasis on when that massive axe comes down, you feel that weight. They pull that off. Just the choreography between the two of them. Linie just flying all over the place. Like her flips and stuff like that were super cool. Some of the more intense shots of her kind of just crouching down and stuff like that was super incredible. On Fern's side, it was more impressive because, like I said earlier, I'm not used to a lot of these animators and these shows showing magic in a way that is impressive. It's always very, like I said, pew 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 back and forth, lines flying across the screen, which they did some of that in this, which is like the homing missile of death coming after Lugner. But in most cases, they did a really great job of showing how that magic is being used in a larger scale. This was a magic battle. This felt like an epic magic battle. It wasn't just one-sided pew-pews. Even with Qual, it was a very, very cool fight. I love seeing how they portrayed essentially the old magic versus the new defense. That was a great way of showcasing that. And yes, Fern even going up there and blasting him was still cool. But it still was kind of a back and forth laser shots. This was great because it showed confident, majestic walk that Fern was doing. And just, again, shooting down each of these shots, just the flow of the combat itself was absolutely incredible. There was one portion where you had Fern and she was constantly laying down fire on Lugner. And he was just saying, well, I'll whittle her down. That was probably the only part where it was we could have done something else with this rather than just keep showing the two faces and one showing the energy flying off of her and the other side is just showing him sitting there as fragments are going by. That was probably the only part where it was kind of okay, do something else, go back to the cool animation. But I mean, with everything else they gave us this episode, I'm not gonna be mad about it. But no, the beginning segments of this and him sort of portraying that the only reason that Fern got out of it and the only reason he's not killing her is because she dodged it and he wants to ask questions. And having later on Fern go, no, that was a lie. The reason you did that is because you're prideful. She's, again, right here is kind of pointing out that aspect of pride. There was several points throughout this episode that point out the idea of Lugner being prideful. And technically in the idea of the demons themselves. And the idea that Lugner didn't see Fern as a threat. Still, at this point, doesn't see her as a threat. He just purposely hit her like that. Purposely ambushed her because he wanted to get back at her. You did this to me, I can do it too. And again, it plays in this idea of these demons being very animal instincts and inhuman, like a monster. That they just kind of think of cruel, stupid things like this as being the important thing they need to focus on. Even later on, having Linie point out the fact that, I can't go over there because he doesn't like me interrupting him. Again, Lugner's pride. And what's great is because it ends up being pretty much his downfall. Because he wouldn't let Linie come join him. Even at some point in the fight, as Lugner is realizing, no, I can't hold her back forever. She's going to eventually get me. I need to get in there and get a sneak-in strike on her. So what does he do? He calls out to Linie. What's taking you so long, Linie? Though she said specifically he doesn't like me interfering, but now suddenly Lugner wants her to interfere because he can't beat Fern. But yeah, within this fight itself, this is where we get the interesting thing. And the idea that at some point, Lugner's trying to figure out why am I being pushed back? My technique, my control, my mana, everything is better than this girl. Why does she have me on the defense, basically? And through Fern's perspective, we're seeing essentially where we're getting that same thing that Stark has gone through, and this idea of finally realizing I have something that my master doesn't have. I gotta stop relying on my master. Again, passing the baton from one hero generation to the other. Through Fern's perspective, we're finding out what makes Fern so special. having this one brief moment where we see that Fern is out here killing monsters with Frieren, and at some point, Fern's like, I'm never going to be as good as you. Again, just like Stark, I'm never going to be as good as my master. But Frieren points out something that Fern didn't realize that she had that Frieren does not have. Fern's like, yeah, I've been living for a long time. Of course I know a lot of abilities. Of course I'm going to be more skilled than you. Of course I'm going to have more mana than you. But Fern's like, well, why do you keep having me kill things and rather than you? Why are you pushing this on me? Because you're faster than me. Because you get off spells faster than me. Thus, it finishes quicker. Which is kind of a funny casual comment for Frieren to have, because Frien's not going, you know, you're faster than me, so kill them faster. She's going, I want to get back doing what I want to do, and I don't want to bother with doing all this, and you get it done faster. So it's the one thing that Fern has that Frieren doesn't. She's faster at spells, which is obviously what's throwing off Lugner. He can't keep up with Fern because she's so fast, thus creating what makes Fern so special. That first attack, like when she has him at point and he's being like, I don't care about you. He's being overconfident. He goes to strike Fern and she snaps at it. Like, she's so quick. Like, you cannot split second try to get her. She's going to get that spell off way faster than you can even attack her. Again, really kind of emphasizing what makes Fern so special. I'm glad they kind of presented something like that. Something that sets her aside from Frieren. But yeah, the fight goes on, and eventually Lugner gets... Can we say that Lugner's defeat is thanks to Stark? I mean, Stark gets pummeled. I mean, yes, Fern gets a nice strike to the shoulder, but Stark's not doing good. So hopefully Fern can heal him up really quickly or something like that. He's got like this, he's already got the gouges on his arm. Now he's got like this big O laceration in his shoulder, and he's got this cut in his side. He's not doing good. But pretty much him taking down Linie is what briefly takes Lugner's attention off of Fern, and Fern's able to get off that Zoltark. Now, she could have done that even still, and it got through his defenses. Don't know, but still. But no, incredible episode. Just massive hype. There's so many clips that I can think of in this episode. Just snip it out and throw it up on the Twitters. It was a really incredible fight, and I cannot wait to see what Frieren does. I was a little disappointed that, yes, the armored soldiers are CGI. Again, doesn't surprise me. Animators hate animating armored suits, and it's been a long time since I've seen an actually 2D animated and moving group of armors, so it was expected. They did a decent job of kind of blending it in, but I cannot wait to see the fight with Aura. It's going to be hopefully pretty hype. And again, hopefully, I don't even, like I said before, I don't even really care that if Fern like just knocks her out really quickly, but it would be interesting to kind of see how she could offset her. Slight spoilers with the preview of the next episode at the very end of the episode. They sort of indicated something about some sort of massacre of the elves. And I'll be curious if that somehow connects with Aura, because I can't see any other reason why they'd be bringing that up right now when Frieren is going up against Aura. But we'll see. I'd be interested to see if they actually do get into Frieren's past. Maybe the lack of elves, but we'll see. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 9 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Super massively amazing episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment. Let me know what's the value of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.